Well, for every Canadian struggling to find a family doctor or waiting to get an appointment with a specialist, this next story may be frustrating to hear. Right now in Canada, there are medical students graduating that can't find a job. Last year, 149 medical students were not accepted into a residency program. That number is growing year after year. Long Nguyen was one of those students. He's joining us this morning from Ottawa. Long, you have since placed in a residency program, but tell us, what does it mean if you don't get a residency?
Well, it means that you can't practice or can't further your training. That means you can't become an individual, or you can't practice medicine afterwards.
Yeah, so you've had the training in med school, but you can't get the license without the residency program.
Yes, correct.
Can you explain how this process works? How do med students typically find a residency?
So you apply for CARMS, which is the Canadian Residency Match Service. You apply in around November, then you do interviews, and then you have this match system that everyone goes through. It's kind of like, when I explain to people, it's kind of like a dating app where you like a program and they like you back and you match. But when you don't match, that means the programs don't like you back.
And my understanding is it costs a lot of money to apply to get a match. Students can spend thousands of dollars a year trying to figure out where to be placed in the country. So they lose that money if they don't get matched.
Definitely.
So what's the problem then, Long? Is there not enough places available? Is it the qualifications of the students applying?
I think it's mostly more of the number of positions for residency. I describe it more like musical chairs. Everyone, at the end of the day, there's going to be someone that doesn't have a chair. And that's the growing problem in Canada now, that there's not enough residency spots for medical students that graduate.
Is there any responsibility to the med schools to maybe instruct students such as yourself to say, there are certain gaps in this specialty, maybe direct your education this way?
I think it's tough to forecast the job market or how many residency spots after 4 years of med school, because you never know what's out there in a 4-year forecast. I think it's important for med schools just to have open discussion about the possibility of unmatching and the possibility of, you may not get your first choice of specialty, and you may have to, be happy with another kind of specialty that you may want.
Is it that there's too many students applying to certain areas, like urban areas, for example, and maybe not to areas of need, like some of the northern territories and provinces?
I think everyone applies broadly. If you look at the stats from the second round, so the second round is after the first round of matching, there's whatever leftover spots of residency. And you can see that even after the second round, there's no spots left over, even in urban locations as well. So the numbers all fill up, and then there's no med students. There's med students that go unmatched, even though these spots are all gone.
You didn't match your first year, but you did reapply, and then you've matched on your second year. What do you think needs to be done to fix this problem?
I think the biggest problem is just more spots. I think the Ontario government, over the past couple of years, have cut a large amount of spots that or would help with the problem nowadays. It's also education and talking about it. And the one thing that's good right now is that people are talking about it, making aware of the situation right now. But as it progresses every year, it's going to get worse and worse, and the problem is going to get worse and worse. And I think there's some solutions right now, but we have to keep talking about it. Some solutions right now, or the Canadian Federation of Medical Students collaborated with the Canadian Armed Forces to open up medical officers for students who do not match. There's mentoring programs right now, and at the same time, there's more counseling around the topic, which I believe it's a step in the right direction.
Long, good to talk to you about this and get your perspective on what we as Canadians will see as a doctor shortage and where some of those problems could be lying. Thanks so much for joining us from Ottawa.
Thank you.